Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for May the 18th, 2020, as we continue on the road to WWE Backlash. I have to tell you guys, tonight's Raw recap might just be the greatest wrestling recap ever. We kicked off the show with a Becky Lynch recap, what happened last week with her announcing her pregnancy and relinquishing the title. We had Charlie Caruso in the ring bringing up that tagline about a possible Randy Orton versus Edge match. Maybe it will be the greatest wrestling match ever. Randy Orton came out. He explained why he wants a normal wrestling match because WWE is World Wrestling Entertainment. And wrestling is what's on the marquee. Tell that to Vince. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet not on my TV is more entertaining. Spoiler alert from Psycho Jet Black. Thank you for that super chat. First one of the evening. No Cedric and Ricochet on this show, but a lot of people did get TV time on this episode. Orton continued his promo. He said Edge is not the superior wrestler. All Randy Orton needs is a ring and a referee. And last week, Orton saw doubt and fear in Edge's eyes. This led to Edge coming out saying that, yeah, Randy Orton does speak a lot of truths. Orton is playing a game of chess, according to Edge. And Edge went on this passionate rant about how Orton just does this for a paycheck. Edge, he has done everything. He's shown the passion. Orton never had to fight for 9 years to come back to the ring. Orton doesn't love the sport of professional wrestling like Edge does. Edge accepted the challenge. So at Backlash, it will be a regular match. Randy Orton versus Edge. Good thing this is not the $49.99 era and you were trying to sell fans on a regular wrestling match after they just saw a last man standing match at WrestleMania. But hey, this just might be the greatest wrestling match of all time. Gabe with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Gabe. Says, do you think the risk will be worth the reward? I think so. I think the risk of getting in there and having a regular wrestling match, I think it will be worth the reward because they just might surpass the greatest wrestling matches of all time. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. Stone Cold versus Bret Hart. Alicia Fox versus Naomi. Whatever that match was from back in the day. I totally forgot the match too. So I ruined the joke because I forgot what the match was. I just remember Alicia Fox was in it. Must not have been that great though if I cannot remember it. Mr. Anderson with a $1 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Anderson. No comment with that super chat. Alicia Fox versus Melina. That was it. Thank you guys in the chat room. Caleb Jacobs with a $2.44 super chat says, this match will be erased just like Randy Orton's first title. Ouch. Don't say that to Edge. If you go on Instagram and you criticize Edge at all, he's going to come back at you. He's going to say, stop complaining. Just sit back and enjoy it. Just watch it and like it for what it is. Stop complaining. I wish they would have done like a 3 stages of hell match. At least Edge could come out there and say, you know what? Regular wrestling match is fine, but we need to up the ante from WrestleMania. Let's do 3 stages of hell. Maybe add a cage match in there and something different just to make it seem like it's a bigger deal. We had Seth Rollins and Murphy backstage. Seth Rollins revealed that he has a revelation. They came to the ring. Rollins talked about how he lost everything, or he felt that he lost everything when Drew McIntyre beat him at Money in the Bank. However, without darkness, there can be no light. Rey Mysterio made Seth Rollins see the light. And what happened to Rey Mysterio, according to Rollins, was unfortunate but necessary. And one day, Rey Mysterio will realize that it was a sacrifice for the greater good. And one day, Rey will realize that it was a blessing in disguise. Rollins had 2 words for the day Mysterio comes back. You're welcome. This led to a very angry Humberto coming out. Humberto said that Rey is a hero to millions and Seth Rollins is nothing more than a coward. Seth said he's not dressed to compete. However, Buddy Murphy was more than willing to have a match, even though Murphy has a match scheduled later on for Aleister Black. So Murphy had a match with Humberto. Humberto went for a springboard move. Rollins provided a distraction. Of course, the babyfaces get distracted so easily. And that little hesitation was all it took. Murphy caught him with a knee strike, hit the Murphy's Law, 1, 2, 3, victorious over Humberto. Pretty short match here. And then afterwards, Aleister Black made the save and went for the Black Mass, but Murphy escaped. So it was practically a squash match. I mean, Humberto just got beat here within 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, it was a very short match, and it was really just more of a setup for Murphy versus Aleister Black later on the show. Let's see here. Hamp Kano with a $2 super chat says the greatest match is Sting versus Jeff Hardy at Victory Road. You got me there. Maybe, just maybe, Edge and Randy Orton can surpass the wrestling clinic, the classic that was Sting versus Jeff Hardy. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Thank you guys for the super chats. He says, Mark Henry will sue you if you are mean to him. Yeah, I would be careful what you say to Mark Henry, because the world's strongest lawyer might be coming to sue your ass. Somebody's going to get their ass sued if you mess with Mark Henry. And TJS says, does Angel Garza remind you of Lalo Salamanca? A little bit with the charm, but here's the thing, to use Jeff Meacham's line. I'd like to see Angel Garza go dark. If he really wants to be like Lalo Salamanca, he's got to have that scary serial killer vibe to him. But yeah, as far as the charming part of the personality goes, yeah, I definitely see the similarities. And Masked Ninja 76 with a $2 super chat, thank you for that, says, should try streaming your videos on Twitter too. I would if Twitter was able to let me monetize on the platform, which at this time they don't. Unless you're a big corporation, you cannot monetize live streams on Twitter, but I would if Twitter had that option. Same thing with Facebook. I'm on here because I can monetize this video as long as I keep it PG. Although not too PG, because if your video is geared towards kids, then you could get in trouble for that. So gotta keep it right in the middle between kids and too over the top and too offensive to where advertisers will not come on. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat again. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Says Undertaker confirmed that he hates cucumbers. Yes, if you watched the part 2 of Undertaker's Last Ride documentary series, we did find out that revelation about The Undertaker. Ken, my man Ken, terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I am a huge Freebirds and Michael Hayes mark, but it didn't go well when Michael said to Mark that he's a bigger N than him. Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was like, what, 2008, 2009? That was a long time ago. Michael Hayes saying something pretty offensive to Mark Henry. But I believe they made peace over that. It was chalked up to Michael Hayes just being a crazy person. Gabe with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Gabe. Says, Aaron Rift would have to tell Twitter to ... let me in. Yes, I agree with that, Gabe, and thank you very much for the super chat. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, being a crazy drunk was Michael Hayes. We had King Corbin backstage because this is the brand-to-brand invitation, and what better way to get people excited for Monday Night Raw and get those ratings up than to have King Corbin compete. Forget the fact that he lost to Elias on SmackDown, but we're supposed to believe this King could beat the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. Corbin was upset. He wanted his own locker room. He was mad about his food, mad about not getting proper treatment. We had Liv Morgan cut a brief promo, which was actually pretty emotional. She talked about her mom being her hero. She was getting very, very teary-eyed, said she's determined to win the Raw Women's Championship, and she realized after losing to Charlotte on Raw that she's just like her mom because her mom never gave up and was always determined to succeed. And she's going to do the same thing, win the Raw Women's Championship. I like the promo. Brought out some personality and Liv and gave you a reason to care about her. So good stuff here. Charlotte came out for a promo because, we got to hear Charlotte talk every single week, She just might be the greatest talker in wrestling history. Maybe if Charlie Caruso was critiquing it. We had a recap of what happened with Bayley. Charlotte hyped up the match. We had Ruby Riott come out, and there was a match between Ruby and Charlotte. Ruby went for the Riott kick, but Charlotte countered, put on the figure eight. Ruby tapped out. Charlotte builds up the momentum for Friday Night SmackDown when she faces Bayley. We had Bobby Lashley backstage. MVP had a little chat with Bob the Lash. MVP said he's not trying to cause trouble between Lashley and Lana. Keep in mind, in the storyline, Lashley and Lana are still married. MVP just wants to know, when is Lashley going to free Lashley? We had a recap of last week's basketball game. Basketballs. Remember that Batista promo? Basketballs don't hold grudges. That was a classic. We had the Street Profits arriving at some park, and I guess there was this big setup here created by the Viking Raiders with all these other Vikings. It was like a medieval festival. And the Viking Raiders even presented the smoke. They had a fire pit there with smoke, just for the Street Profits. This was the first of several segments, so bear with me here. Before we resume with our axe-throwing contest, we had Kairi Sane in the ring with balloons, and she was celebrating Asuka once again becoming the Raw Women's Champion, or first time Raw Women's Champion. I'm not sure if she held the SmackDown one or the Raw one. I'm not even sure at this point. But regardless, Asuka is the Raw Women's Champion. And Kairi presented Asuka with some flowers, Japanese tradition, and Asuka is a first-time Raw Women's Champion. She's held pretty much every title that a female superstar can hold in WWE. They showed the slideshow: NXT Champion, SmackDown Champion, Raw Champion, Tag Team Champions. And then Kairi started playing a song with a recorder. This has to be the first time we've had somebody play the recorder on Monday Night Raw, to my recollection. We've had lots of instruments played over the years. Tiny Tim with the ukulele. We've had Kurt Angle with the guitar. We've had Strowman with the stand-up bass. But not a recorder. This was a first. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says, Rift Aronson is more successful than Ruby Riott. From my understanding, Ruby has not won a match since coming back. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I saw somebody write about that on Twitter. Not sure if that's accurate or not, but that's pretty sad if that's true. I believe it. I feel like she hasn't won a match since coming back. Hamp Connell with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Says, Charlotte versus Bayley just may be the greatest cigarette break of all time. Good one there, Hamp. Very well could be. Although, to be fair, Charlotte and Bayley, it might be a good match. I don't really feel it's going to be bad or anything. It's two of the four horsewomen. I think it'll be all right. I think there are other matches that would be more fitting of that. But again, if Charlie Caruso was in charge here, yeah, it just may be the greatest cigarette break of all time. We had Nia Jax interrupting the festivities with Asuka and Kairi Sane. And she talked about how Asuka was just handed the Raw Women's Championship, and Asuka lucked into the greatest temp job ever. And pretty soon, Asuka's going to be replaced by somebody more worthy. Herself, Nia Jax, of course. Asuka had enough of Nia's crap. She attacked Nia, sent her out of the ring. And backstage, we had King Corbin being interviewed, talking about how he carried Drew McIntyre for over a year, and he knows how Drew McIntyre ticks. And yes, Drew McIntyre did defeat Brock Lesnar. However, Drew McIntyre can still make mistakes, and the King plans on exploiting those mistakes. We had R-Truth doing a little rap and then cut a promo, showed a recap of Bobby Lashley putting him in the full Nelson. He said he's going to take care of Lashley, and when he's done with Lashley, he's coming after Rob Gronkowski, however you pronounce his name. I'm just going to say the name that R-Truth said, Tom Brady. He's coming after Tom Brady, and he's going to get his baby back. Please no. Let the 24/7 title be done. I fear like one of these days we're going to have it brought back, and Gronk is going to make one more appearance to drop the title, and then we're going to have this 24/7 crap again. Please don't. We had Bobby Lashley come out for a match with R-Truth. Truth busted out the pretty Ricky teeth because why not? In the end, Lashley picked up a quick victory with the full Nelson. MVP applauded Lashley on the stage. And backstage, Lana was not amused, to put it mildly. Lana threw the biggest screaming fit she possibly could. She was throwing objects in the room around. She was just hollering and completely out of control. We had Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending the Women's Tag Team Championship against the Iconics. Iconics cut a little promo before the match, showed the footage from last week. Alexa was on the verge of winning the match for her team, hit the Twisted Bliss to Billie Kay, but Peyton Royce made the save, and then Peyton threw Bliss into the ring post not once, but 3 times. And the referee disqualified Peyton for throwing Alexa into the ring post. I guess that's illegal now, although I thought, like, well, maybe we just had Peyton breaking the 5 count, because technically the illegal person's not supposed to be in there for more than 5 seconds. I mean, the rule is broken constantly in WWE, but all of a sudden it's being enforced. So I'm not really sure if it was the 5 count or if it was being thrown into the ring post, which I did not know was a DQ. Whatever. I guess to quote Howard Finkel, this feud must continue. We had Kairi Sane playing her recorder backstage. She was attacked by Nia Jax from behind. Not much of a beatdown. Nia just threw her into one of those production cases, and that was that. She went on her merry way. Backstage, Billie Kay was very upset with Peyton Royce for blowing the match, blowing their one opportunity at the tag team titles, which is pretty funny considering this was like their first match on TV in several months. Billie slapped Peyton, but then immediately regretted it, was crying and hugged her. Interesting little storyline here, I suppose. Kairi Sane was being checked out by one of the trainers. The trainer put an ice pack on Kairi, and Asuka was checking up on the situation. She got upset. She went and confronted Nia Jax. Nia just kept walking, so Asuka attacked Nia Jax again and then walked off. Kind of a weird segment here. Like, I felt like Nia was being really passive. First, when she gave this minor beatdown to Kairi and then just walks away from Asuka instead of fighting her and turning her back to Asuka. That was kind of weird. So yeah, not sure what the deal is with Nia Jax and her character, but I would expect her to be more of a monster here and not show any weakness or remorse or anything like that. We had Shayna Baszler versus Natalya in a rematch from last week. The old pointless rematch. Natalya wanted a submission match because she's crazy. Shayna Baszler got to the ropes when she was in the sharpshooter, but since there's no rope break, she actually had to pull herself to the outside of the ring in order to break the hold. Shayna made her comeback, picked up the victory by submission over Natalya. After the match, Natalya was very upset. She threw a fit as the ring crew was setting up for the return of Kevin Owens. But before we got Owens, Natalya, she took the Kevin Owens sign and the chair and threw them out of the ring and left in a big ball of piss and vinegar. Samoa Joe said that this was very unprofessional of Natalya, beneath her to do this stuff. I guess we're getting another Natalya heel turn. Okay. Guess it's something for her to do at this point, I suppose. Backstage, we had Zelina Vega trying to calm her team down because they're still fighting. They're having dissension. Joe E. sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Joe. Says, Raw better than Dynamite? Seen neither in months. No. I would say Dynamite overall has been the best show of the week. SmackDown's been pretty good at times as well. There were a few weeks where I was enjoying SmackDown more than Dynamite, but overall, I would say Dynamite's been putting out the best shows, and some people might not like that, but hey, I think AEW's doing about as good of a job as you could ask for under the circumstances. WWE's doing pretty good too, but at times I feel like WWE could be doing more. Anyways, back to Raw. We had Kevin Owens come out for the KO show, his first appearance on WWE television since WrestleMania. He thanked Natalya sarcastically for getting all the junk out of the way. He said the reason he was gone was because he got pretty banged up at WrestleMania. Of course, also in real life, he wanted to spend time with his family. But he's back now. Team Vega came out as the guests, and Zelina put over her team, all three of them. Owens then revealed that he has another guest, and that guest was Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews ran to the ring, attacked Andrade because Crews has unfinished business from a couple of weeks ago. We had a commercial break, and when we came back, holla, holla, holla. Promo segment gets turned into a tag team match. My favorite routine on WWE television. Anyways, this tag team match had Zelina Vega getting up on the apron. Austin Theory tried to interfere. He went to throw a punch, but accidentally hit Angel Garza by mistake. And Apollo Crews pinned Garza with the sit-down powerbomb. And then after the match, Andrade, he had enough of Theory. He attacked Theory. Garza joined in on the beatdown. And Zelina was like, Austin Theory, you're useless. She slapped him. And then Andrade took a steel chair and hit Theory with it and said, this too is an accident. Austin Theory kicked out of Zelina Vega's team. Was this a babyface turn for Austin Theory? There's more to this in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says, why won't WWE turn Apollo heel? He's a boring face. There's been a rumor about it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but as of this show, doesn't look like it's in the immediate future. We had Drew McIntyre backstage, interviewed about the main event. He said he loves the idea of the brand-to-brand invitation because we get to see dream matches, and he has a special Claymore fit for a king. Yes, because when we think about dream matches in WWE, we've all been thinking about Drew McIntyre versus King Corbin. I'm sure this is what we've all wanted to see. We had a little bit more of the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. They were preparing for their axe throwing contest, but Dawkins screwed up and threw an axe into one of the beer barrels, and everyone got pissed off at him. Ha ha ha. Funny stuff here. We had Aleister Black versus Murphy. Seth Rollins was out there at ringside, and the story of this match was what was happening on the outside of the ring. Austin Theory was still out there recovering from his beatdown, and Seth Rollins extended his hand to Austin Theory. Austin Theory was grateful for this, and when Aleister Black was about to hit the Black Mass on Murphy, Rollins gave Theory the cue to get in the ring and do something. So Theory got in the ring, attacked Black, disqualification. The three of them took out Black, and then Rollins gave Theory a hug. Looks like Theory has jumped from one heel faction to another heel faction, now part of Team Rollins. And I guess this makes up for AOPP being out of action. Then we had the axe throwing contest officially go down. Viking Raiders dominated it. They got all their shots, 10 out of 10. Viking Raiders were clearly the winners, but for the Street Profits, they had a little consolation prize. They managed to get the last shot, so they got 1 point. But then the cops showed up. And furthermore, somebody had thrown an axe into the cops' windshield. The officers were not happy, but they decided to let them go because, according to the female officer, Ivar is cute. Eric, on the other hand, not so much. That's kind of mean to say that about poor Eric. Sarah Logan likes him. But yeah, this was kind of dumb in my opinion. I mean, I think it was better than the basketball segment, but that's not really saying much. We had Apollo Crews interviewed backstage, and like I said a few minutes ago, didn't really seem like any kind of a direction for a heel turn. He said being out of action for the past 3 weeks was the longest 3 weeks of his life, and missing out on Money in the Bank sucked. He had to take a deep look inside and make something happen. He had to make an opportunity for himself, and he decided to challenge Andrade for the United States Championship on next week's Raw. And Zelina Vega confronted him, and they had a little bit of an exchange. So next week, Andrade versus Apollo Crews once again for the U.S. title. Maybe Apollo wins it this time. Feel like that's a realistic possibility. The legendary Mike B with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. He says, my 8-year-old niece can come up with better storylines than the WWE writers. Also, hope everyone is doing great and staying safe. Likewise to you, Mike B. And you're probably right. I'm guessing there are kids that could come up with better, or at the very least, more creative storylines. Maybe not better in the sense of structure, but I think when it comes to ideas, having an imagination, yeah, a kid, I think, could very well come up with something more creative. Joey with a $2 super chat, thank you, Joe, says, why can't WWE faces get over anymore like The Rock and Steve Austin? Well, number one, they're really dumb. Although, you know what's funny? Steve Austin was an idiot back in the day, too, because the 99 Royal Rumble, The Rock's coming out there and distracting Austin, and Austin just turns his back to Vince, and then Vince dumps him over the top. So, I mean, it's something WWE has done for many years, the dumb babyface. I've never liked it, and I wish WWE would come up with something more creative to get the heels over. It's fine when the baby faces outsmart the heels with interruptions and distractions, but I don't like when the faces get outsmarted. Like, they should be the ones outsmarting the heels. We had our main event match, Drew McIntyre versus King Corbin. Bobby Lashley then came out with MVP before the match could even get going. MVP put over Corbin for retiring Kurt Angle, and then Lashley talked on the mic a little bit, said that he is coming for Drew McIntyre and the WWE Championship. Rob Klein with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Robbie Vice. I appreciate it. He says, why are wrestlers pausing during promos for crowd reactions with no crowd? No one naturally talks like they do in the ring. Maybe it's just force of habit. Who knows? Also, with Drew McIntyre, he keeps doing the countdown, the 3, 2, 1, even though there's no crowd there. So maybe the idea is that people are still watching at home and you want to script the lines a certain way so the fans at home can react to it. Maybe that's why. So it keeps the fans, it keeps them conditioned to react how WWE wants them to react. I mean, that's my assumption. So we had this match. And MVP and Lashley were watching on the stage. Corbin did his usual trash talking, called Drew a follower, started getting angry when the referee wasn't counting fast enough. You know, the usual. Baron Corbin gets pissed off as the match progresses. We had Drew McIntyre eventually pick up the win with the Claymore. And then after the match, MVP pointed at his watch to indicate that Drew McIntyre's time is coming up. That was Raw. It was actually not a bad show. Not as much wrestling as other weeks, which I like. I know some of you prefer the longer wrestling shows, but for a 3-hour Raw, I like when they move it faster. And I was fine with the shorter matches, get more people on the show. The show felt a little bit faster paced than usual. So for that, I liked it. Wasn't really a fan of the usual segments they do, like promo segment turns into a tag match, rematch from last week. But all in all, I thought it was fairly good show. So I'm going to give it a B-. Solid B-. Well, not really solid. A solid B would be a B. B- is a not so solid B. Jeremy Dorset also with a B-. Mr. Anderson with a C. D. Ross 2 with a C+. Michael Wayne with a C+. Jesse Aaron with a B+. The legendary Mike B with a C. And Jeremy Dorset with a B-. Leatherface with a C. And CC Drink with a B-. Matt Helms with a B. And Joe E. Oh, Joe E did not give one. Rob Klein with a B. And W Glass 90 with a C. Ken Terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. Says, if Drew Gulak stayed in the WWE, did you see him getting a mid-card push, or did you see him being a solid hand like Cesaro or a modern-day Paul Roma? So I don't believe I talked about Drew Gulak being released. I was surprised by it because he was just on SmackDown, and if it's true that his contract expired, why did WWE put him on TV right before his contract expired? That was a little strange to me, although they have done some strange things, like putting Matt Hardy in a big storyline right before his contract was up. I said it on SmackDown. I liked the match. It was technically really good, but I haven't been feeling Drew Gulak as a babyface. Like, I was thinking he needs to turn against Bryan. We need to see something different. We need more personality out of Drew. Sad to see him go. I would think that he'll be able to get work wherever he wants, whether it's AEW or Ring of Honor or New Japan. Apparently, he's a free agent now because his contract expired, and he could theoretically show up at Double or Nothing. So we'll see if it happens. We'll see if AEW is willing to sign a few more people under the current circumstances. Joe E with the $2 super chat says, if AEW Dynamite went to Mondays, would Raw improve or TV 14? I don't think WWE would do anything, and I honestly don't think Dynamite could compete. I think Dynamite would probably lose their audience a little bit. I mean, I feel like they'd be down to like 500,000 if they went on Monday nights. So I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it would lead to a new boom period in wrestling. At least not right now. Maybe down the line, but unfortunately a lot of AEW's momentum has cooled off, and wrestling has just cooled off as a whole right now. DJ Whitey with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, DJ. I appreciate it. He says, what's up, Aaron? Finally, the matchup we haven't seen yet. Lashley versus McIntyre should go 20 plus easily and competitive, similar to when Lashley faced Roman Reigns. Did Lashley and McIntyre wrestle in Impact? I seem to remember they had a storyline against each other. I know Lashley was pretty dominant in Impact. I feel like they did have some kind of program in Impact. So I think that it'll be a good match for those guys. People are saying yes in the chat. I thought they did. My memory's a little bit hazy when it comes to Impact, but I seem to remember them feuding. I think McIntyre was doing the whole hashtag stand up thing at the time. I hope Lashley has a good showing because he really hasn't gotten any big main event opportunities. Like he's basically come in and been in the mid card. Although the guy looks like a superstar. He looks like a big shot. So we'll see what happens with him. It could just be a one-off. McIntyre beats him and moves on. Actually, I probably think that that's what's going to happen with him. And last thing before I go, Shad Gaspard. Very tragic story about him being caught in a rip current on the beach in Southern California, and nobody can find him. Search and rescue team, they tried to locate him. Not a good situation. Very sad, very tragic. Everything I've heard about the guy, he was very likable, and I guess we still don't know for sure, but doesn't look like there's going to be a happy ending to this story. At this time, there's no official word on his whereabouts. But there was a person who was apparently an eyewitness to what happened. And based off of what he said, I mean, it doesn't look like it's something that anybody would be able to survive. And then the story about Shad sacrificing himself and yelling out for the lifeguards to save his son. I mean, yeah, it's very emotional, very sad. And just my thoughts are with his family. So that's a little bit of a downer to end the live stream. But I had to give my take on that. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest updates regarding that and Double or Nothing. I think we're doing a live stream for Double or Nothing, but nothing is confirmed at this time. If we do, it'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific tomorrow night, Tuesday. In case anybody's watching this on Tuesday, it'll be 7 p.m. Eastern. And that's all I got for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, as always. Got plenty more to talk about this week. Dynamite, No DQ review, SmackDown, Double or Nothing, which there will be coverage of on NoDQ.com. That's it for tonight. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Be safe,